Well, hello. Today's the 1975 movie A Boy and His Dog. It is 2024 after a nuclear war. Vic and Blood travel the wasteland looking for food and women. Vic manages to steal some canned food from a group of slavers. This is used to purchase entry into a shantytown to watch a movie. Here, Blood smells a woman. They track the woman to an abandoned underground ruin. There is a fight with a gang also looking for the woman. Vic manages to impersonate a screamer, a deadly mutant, to drive off the gang. The woman named Quilla June Holmes seduces Vic, and he doesn't have to take her by force. Shido knocks him out, and Vic decides to pursue her to her bunker with a card she left behind. There he is captured by the Society of Topeka. They need him to fertilize their women. After some initial excitement about the idea, he soon finds out that it isn't what he had in mind. Quilla frees him because she is involved in a coup to take over the council. She needs Vic to kill the council. Only Vic just wants to leave, and they have to fight it out with a ant robot to escape with Quilla. On the surface, he finds that Blood is starving to death. He now has to make a choice between Blood or Quilla. Vic, though, finds a way to save Blood. So this 1975 movie was based on a Harlan Ellison novella, and it was produced, directed, and screenplay was written by L.Q. Jones. And L.Q. Jones is pretty much famous mostly as an actor. He did a lot of stuff for Sam Peckinpah, most notably The Wild Bunch. And I guess he also was kind of a independent movie maker at the time. And he managed to raise $400,000 for this movie, and it was filmed around Barstow in the Mojave Desert. And of course, he had a very young Don Johnson in the lead, and Jason Robards was in it, and there was Blood, who was the dog, and he might be recognizable as Tiger from the Brady Bunch. And actually, Don Johnson's character at the end of the film slipped up and actually called him Tiger. And but the voice for Blood was Tim McIntyre. There's talk of that they wanted James Cagney for it, but the excuse they gave was that it was just too recognizable, and they wanted someone that wasn't, or maybe also they just didn't have enough money in the budget to hire James Cagney. So they got Tim McIntyre, who is a kind of accomplished character actor and a voiceover actor. And he sung the song for this, I think. And it's a post-apocalyptic movie, and obviously the main character is kind of not really a very inspiring person, because he's basically going around looking to rape women, which is not really one of your great things you want your main characters to be in. But I think it probably would have had to be done by a small independent for something like this, for Harlan Ellison to actually have his vision, because I don't see he he said he was even given offered a lot more money for bigger studios, but obviously I couldn't see this getting made in a big studio because like you get the executives, well, your main character's motivations to go around finding women to rape, and like, well, how would marketing handle that? So yeah, I think and Ellison, he's a brilliant writer. I mean, I've read some of his stuff. It really is very good. Was a great writer. Did some great, some of the best episodes for the Outer Limits and that. But he was also a very, kind of contentious man, and he had his own little weird, fixations. I mean, when he was supposed to write the screenplay, but for some reason he got complete writer's block, so L.Q. Jones had to write it. And for the most part, L.Q. Jones used his story and even, adapted the dialogue word for word. And Harlan Ellison really did enjoy it when he first saw it. He liked it. But there was still some stuff about it that he didn't like, that he found misogynist. I guess there was Blood's dialogue in the ruins. He would call the girl a sow or a cow or something. He didn't like that. And then there was this final line, where where the character of Blood, was talking about Quilla's judgment and taste, and he really found that objectionable. And I guess he actually, the stuff in the first part, he did get changed. He apparently got some cuts from the film and sold it at a convention for $1 or something for little pieces of it, and got $1,500 so they could record its stuff. But L.Q. Jones didn't want to change the final line, and that's still in there. And that's just something that drives him nuts. I know he really hates, for the most part, he's known to just hate just about anything that gets adapted from his writings. I mean, the guy wrote a whole book on the Star Trek episode he did because Gene Roddenberry changed a bit of it, and he just drives him nuts. He wrote a whole book on it. Like, yeah, he was a bit of a unique individual, I guess. And of course, it has it's just a dark ending for the most part. It's obviously kind of a cheap movie. And as I said, the character's motivations aren't necessarily very honorable, but you do get to, kind of sympathize with him, with the movie. I mean, he gets lured into this underground weird world and hooked up to a machine to be milked and when he's getting out, he has a great line that says, "I have to get back into the dirt to feel clean again." I love that line. And he obviously he makes a very bold choice there to save Blood, his dog. And there's like in the commentary, L.Q. Jones says about 25% audience gets it right away. Maybe like 50% or so takes some time to get it sinks in, and another 25% just never get it. And, I'm not going to actually state what it happens at the end, but it was a bit dark. And, it's also apparently it was World War IV, because they explained it in the movie that, World War III was apparently just considered the Cold War. And then when, the nuclear war came around, that was World War IV in 2007. And then they're in the far future of 2024. Wow. Like over a year in the past now. But when I first watched this movie, I remember that was pretty far in the future. It's it never really did, financially well, but it did become a kind of cult classic. It inspired, apparently, Fallout, the video game, and the Mad Max series by George Miller. And, and also, apparently, L.Q. Jones wanted to do a sequel, A Girl and Her Dog, where, Vic would be killed and a girl would take over the main part. And I think he wrote a screenplay for it, but it never got made, and, probably won't be because I mean L.Q. Jones is dead, and so is Harlan Ellison. And there's the interview that they had L.Q. Jones and Harlan Ellison on the Blu-ray for Shout Factory, and obviously these two have a really strong relationship. Goes on a lot about what he did, those little things that bugged him in the movie, but and there's some interesting stuff you find out, like Blood was always referring to Vic as Albert, and I never, and you find out that apparently it was in reference to some author who wrote a book that was about relationships between boys and dogs, and also the weird underground society they had where everybody was wearing this kind of white makeup. Basically, what he just said was that was just a fashion statement for the area. That was there was nothing really deeply symbolic about it or anything. And yeah, it's a fun kind of movie. I think it's out there. I think not everybody's gonna like it, but it's one of those weird little post-apocalyptic movies that I kind of enjoyed when I first saw it, and I still do enjoy it. And I think you might give it a try if you want something new. So I well, thank you for staying with me this long. You're a unique individual.